DFS community. Welcome into the Week 14 edition of one of the most accurate DFS shows in the industry. This is episode number 93 of the Adjusted Line Play Report, where we take a deep dive into the play in the trenches to determine game script and player outcomes. The show is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. I am your host, Todd Hoffman. You can find myself over on Twitter at Todzilla1337. And you can find Zilla Fantasy Elite over on Twitter at Zilla Fantasy. All right, folks. Week 14 here. Last one before the playoffs and things really ramp up here. I do apologize in advance. Got a cold over the Thanksgiving holiday and might sound a little nasally or such throughout the episode, but shouldn't change our information any. Still here to provide you with that sort of goodness. And then just wanted to give people a heads up. I have 7 leagues that I'm a part of, mostly Dynasty League, but if you redraft Scott Fishbowl, I am in the playoffs in all 7 of those currently. Depending on what happens this week, if I go 0-2 in some of those leagues, there is a chance that I don't make it in, but it would be unlikely. So most likely made the playoffs in 100% of my leagues this year, and all thanks in part to the Adjusted Line Play Report and setting up perfect lineups here every single week. So as always, we're going to get into the main slate. If you're new here, we just go, hey, this is the number 1 game total on the main slate. We go through all 11 games in the main slate, and then we get into Sunday night and Monday night football for you, and hopefully give you some info to make some money on those island games. So number 1 game on the main slate is Cincinnati heading into Buffalo on a 53-point Vegas game total. That is the number 1 on the main slate. As we had mentioned, Buffalo 6-point home favorites here, giving them a team implied total of 29.5. That is best on the main slate. Cincinnati at 23.5 for their team implied total is 9th best out of the 22 teams. Getting into the away team, Cincinnati number 7 in offensive pass protection, pretty good. Buffalo, though, number 10 in the pass rush. Joe Burrow may be under a little bit more duress than you'd expect in a matchup like this compared to what they've been so far this season. And then pass DVOA-wise, Cincinnati 23, they've been bad in that regard. Again, a lot of this is absent Joe Burrow. Buffalo, though, number 10 in pass DVOA. Difficult matchup here. They do get after the quarterback and get sacks, and they are pretty good defensively in the pass game, so maybe a little bit muted of an opportunity here for Joe Burrow. Especially if Buffalo is up big in this. Cincinnati may actually struggle to move the ball a little bit. And then the run game, it's kind of weird. Cincinnati 17 in run blocking, Buffalo 8th in run stopping. So that to me tells me, hey, Chase Brown in that run game is going to get stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage pretty frequently. But then the run DVOA is flipped. Cincinnati number 6, very explosive. Buffalo number 30 on the run DVOA on defense. They give up a lot of explosive plays, so it's more of one of those volatile games where you're going to see those running backs struggle. They're going to be getting negative yards, 1 or 2 yards at best, pretty frequently, but then they're going to be ripping off some bigger plays there throughout the game. So kind of an interesting one here. Volatile run game, pass game, maybe under a little bit of duress, needing to get that ball out a little bit quicker. Probably going to be a lot less efficient than you'd expect from the Cincinnati offense. That probably leads to more of a Jamar Chase volume type game where, hey, maybe he's got those 14, 15 targets that we've been seeing, gets 10 or 12 receptions, but maybe his yards total is only at 90, 100 instead of the 180, 190 that you might expect from him on those volume totals. Buffalo side, they're 20th in pass protection. Cincinnati, though, dead last in pass rush, so adjusted sack rate dead last. Buffalo should have more time than they're used to throw the ball in this matchup. And then Cincinnati 31st in pass DVOA, Buffalo 11th in pass DVOA there. Expect them to be very explosive with time. Should be a good matchup here for that pass game, especially if Dalton Kincaid comes back. I would expect the tight ends actually to have a pretty good matchup here against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been getting roasted by them. And then run game is actually even better. Buffalo 3rd in run blocking, Cincinnati 32nd in stopping the run. I'd expect James Cook to get plenty of run in this. They're projected to win by 6. Pass game should be very effective. This run game even more effective. I'd expect James Cook to be gaining positive yardage pretty much each and every single time he touches the ball. And then the run DVOA, number 2 for Buffalo, Cincinnati 31st. Almost as big of a gap as you can get. I would expect James Cook to also be very, very explosive in this. I would expect Buffalo to be able to move the ball at will in here. And Cincinnati, they're going to have to do it based off of volume. They are a quicker paced game, quicker paced team, number 2 in neutral situation. Buffalo is the slowest at 32. So I think that's what you're going to see in this matchup. Buffalo probably going to do pretty well moving that ball. Pay attention to weather. Buffalo, it sounded like they had some snow in the forecast earlier this week, so heads up for that. But then Cincinnati, volatile run game, and then they're going to need probably more volume based in that pass game. I do think Vegas had a good line here. And Vegas game total of 53. Without any weather, I think Buffalo certainly capable of pushing that 29.5. Cincinnati may be struggling to reach that 23-point mark. All right, number 2 game total on this main slate is Los Angeles Rams heading into Arizona. It's a 47.5-point Vegas game total, so dropping down almost 6 points here. The Arizona actually 8.5-point home underdogs here, so Rams coming in to take their lunch from the looks of it. Gives the Rams a 28 team implied total. That's number 2 on the main slate. Arizona at 19.5 for their team implied total is 14th best on the main slate. Rams number 7 in pass protection, Arizona number 19 in that pass rush. I expect the Rams to have some quality time to throw the ball in this, which is good for their pass game. Pass DVOA, though, Rams very good at number 3, but the Cardinals have actually been pretty good in that department. Number 9 in the pass DVOA, so Rams maybe not as explosive as you'd imagine with time to throw. It's probably more of one of those volume-based things where, it's very good for Puka and Devontae Adams to see quite a few targets as they're moving the ball down. The run game, though, very, very juicy for the Rams here. Number 1 in run blocking, Arizona number 28th in stopping the run. They've had issues all season with that. I'd expect the Rams' run game to be very effective here on a play-by-play basis, gaining positive yardage. And then run DVOA, number 3, Arizona 20. Rams should also be quite explosive when running the ball and scoring touchdowns here against this Arizona team. On the Arizona side, 28th in pass protection, Rams 12th. That's a pretty big mismatch there. I'd expect Arizona to be under a little bit of duress, maybe needing to get the ball out quicker. That's going to favor Trey McBride and some of these quicker throws. We do have Marvin Harrison Jr. out, so I would expect Greg Dortch to actually get a little bit more involved in a game like this where they need to get the ball out quicker. And then pass DVOA-wise, Rams number 3, very good. Arizona 20th, so not very explosive there. It does look like a troubling matchup here for Arizona's pass game, which fortunately for them has been kind of carrying their offense recently, but this does look like a bad matchup for them. Could spell bad news for their offense overall. And then the run game, Arizona 29th. Rams actually at 19, a little bit below average there, but it's still in the favor of the defense. Arizona probably still getting stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage pretty frequently in this one. And then in terms of explosive plays, Rams number 4 in run DVOA, Arizona 26. I'd expect that run game to be stymied quite a bit too. So Arizona does look like they're going to struggle on offense. The Rams, the pass game might not be as explosive as you'd hope, but they should have plenty of time to throw the ball. So you're probably looking at more volume-based stuff for the pass game there. And then that run game should be very effective, gaining positive yardage, getting tons and tons of explosive plays. I would bet that the Rams are going to lean on that run game in this matchup, and especially with the offense for Arizona struggling. I think Kyron Williams and Blake Corum both capable of putting up some pretty decent numbers this week. All right, next game on the main slate is number 3 on the main slate. We have Indianapolis heading into Jacksonville. It's on a 46.5 Vegas game total here. Jacksonville actually 1.5-point home underdogs here. That gives Indianapolis a 24-point team implied total. That is 7th best on the main slate, and Jacksonville at 22.5 is the 10th best out of the 22 teams. On the main slate, looking at the Indy side, they're 6th in offensive pass protection, been very good in that department, not taking sacks, and Jacksonville actually not generating a lot of sacks, are number 28. They don't do a lot of blitzing, they just play kind of a, not necessarily vanilla defense, but they do play a good sound defense, so it's probably why they're not generating a lot of sacks there. Pass DVOA-wise, Indianapolis, pretty explosive. Number 7, Jacksonville, middle of the pack there at number 15. Still in the favor of Indianapolis's offense here. I'd expect them to have some time to throw, be somewhat effective in that pass game. This does look like a plus matchup there for Daniel Jones and his receivers this week. And then run blocking wise, Indianapolis number 5, Jacksonville number 13. Slight favor there for Indianapolis. I expect them to be able to gain some positive yardage here against a pretty decent Jacksonville run defense. Run DVOA wise, Indianapolis number 1, Jacksonville number 9. So Indy has been a pretty good run team this whole season. Probably not as good here against this Jacksonville team, but still don't think it's a reason to deter from using Jonathan Taylor. The offense does look like it should be very good in this pass game. The run game is still a plus matchup, but not as good as some of their other matchups that they've been having this season. So their offense should be fine. They should have plenty of scoring opportunities in this game here against Jacksonville. And then the Jacksonville side, 23rd in offensive pass protection. Indianapolis number 20 in their adjusted sack rate. Pretty even here. I would say standard day at the office for Jacksonville. Maybe a little more time than they're used to, but nothing too crazy there. It's pretty evenly matched. Then pass DVOA, Indianapolis number 12. They do have Sauce Gardner now there. And then Jacksonville number 21 in that defensive pass DVOA with standard amount of time to throw. It does look like they're going to need to kind of grind it out in the pass game. Nothing too crazy here to write home about. Then the run game also pretty evenly matched here. Jacksonville number 6 in run blocking. Indianapolis number 7 in stopping the run. Then run DVOA. Indianapolis 18th in that run DVOA on defense. Jacksonville 14th. So again, pretty evenly matched. Kind of across the board here. Jacksonville pass game maybe a little bit behind the ball there, but then pretty evenly matched in the run game. Nothing too crazy here. Just kind of, hey, this is what our offense is, and this is how it's going to go. I would say it's probably going to be the way that's gone so far this season is that run game getting heavily involved. So that might be how they end up moving the ball. We've seen Trevor Lawrence, last 4 or 5 games actually be pretty productive in terms of the counting stats. This is maybe one where, it's an average day for him. So he's maybe looking at low 200s for the passing game, and then the run game's kind of trying to carry that offense here. But it does look like Indianapolis should win this outright. I know they're on the road, not in a dome, so that should take into account some of this stuff. This Vegas line of 1.5 I think is pretty good, though. I think Indy can put up some points. Jacksonville, if they're putting up points, it's either going to be field goals or struggling not struggling, but doing long methodical drives down the field and then putting up points from there. Next game on the main slate is 4th, actually tied for 4th here at 44.5 for the Vegas game total. We have Seattle heading into Atlanta. That is, again, on that 44.5 game total. Seattle favored by 6.5 on the road. That gives them a 25.5 team implied total, good for 3rd best on the main slate out of the 22 teams. Atlanta at 19, team implied total is 16th best out of the 22 teams. Away team here, Seattle, 4th in offensive pass protection. They've been very good about not taking sacks, but Atlanta 3rd in that pass rush. Saw Seattle actually struggle last week pretty mightily against the Minnesota team who blitzed a lot. I don't know if Atlanta blitzes a bunch, but they have been pretty good at getting home and getting sacks, so it could be another struggle game here for Sam Darnold and company. We did see JSN kind of get shut down finally from that Minnesota defense, and maybe we see that continue here against Atlanta. The pass DVOA, Seattle number 2, Atlanta number 14. So this is in the favor of Seattle's offense, but they may be under a little bit of duress, which could throw things off a little bit in this game. And then the run game, Seattle's been a little bit below average, 20th and 19 in the 2 run blocking categories. Atlanta, though, 29th and 24, both in the red. So slight favor here for Seattle's offense. I would expect that run game to look a little bit better than it has so far this season. probably favoring Kenneth Walker getting some decent yardage totals in a matchup like this. And especially if Seattle is going to be projected to be winning, he's probably going to get 15 to 18 carries in a matchup like this. Atlanta side 14th in pass protection. Seattle 8th in that pass rush. Kirk Cousins probably under a little bit of duress, needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. So watch out for Bijan Robinson and any of those quicker underneath routes to the wide receivers or tight ends. Then pass DVOA wise, Seattle very good. Number 2, Atlanta 19. I'd expect them to be very inefficient when they're throwing the ball, as combined with needing to get it out a little bit quicker. Probably not a great game for Kirk Cousins in this matchup. Run game though, Seattle number 2 in stopping the run. They're number 1 in run DVOA. Atlanta 21st in run blocking, 7th in run DVOA. This tells me, hey, Bijan probably going to be getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage pretty frequently on those runs. Kind of a even or standard day at the office, if you will, for the run DVOA. I've always said, studs eat in that matchup. This is slightly in the favor of the defense, so maybe not quite like that, but a talent like Bijan is one that can maybe overcome some of that. I would expect quite a few, tackles for loss or stop at the line of scrimmage for Bijan in this, but maybe being able to overcome with a few decent runs in a matchup like this. But it does look like Atlanta's going to struggle on offense. Seattle should be kind of in a similar boat, more slow and methodical, but they should be able to move the ball here against Atlanta in the Dome. So interesting line here. I think maybe that 6.5 is a little too high, but I wouldn't be shocked if this is a little bit closer. Seattle, I don't particularly like the game total here. 44.5 isn't super high, but Atlanta getting to 19, I don't know if that's going to happen. Seattle getting to 25, I don't know if that's going to happen. I'd project this more to like 42 points, 42.5. So I do like the under in this. All right, and the other number 4 game total on the main slate is Chicago heading into Green Bay. It's another 6.5 point Vegas line as well. So Green Bay favored by 6.5 points at home, gives them a 25.5 team implied total, good for third best, tied for third best, and then Chicago at 19, tied for 16th best. Chicago side, offensive pass protection number 9, Green Bay 14th in the pass rush. Pretty standard day at the office here for Caleb Williams. I wouldn't expect anything crazy there. Pass DVOA also evenly matched, number 12 versus Green Bay number 7. Slight favor of the defense there, but this is really just standard day at the office. Rome Odunze is out, so I think you're going to see a lot more targets go to the tight ends and DJ Moore in this matchup. Just watch out for that. Luther Burden, especially if they're trying to get the ball out a little bit quicker against this pass rush from Green Bay. You might see him get quite a few stuff underneath to try to do bubble screens or quick slants and stuff like that, getting the ball in his hands and see if he can make some plays. Run blocking wise, Chicago number 2, Green Bay number 5 on defense. Pretty evenly matched there. In those scenarios, they say studs eat. I don't think Chicago really has that, but they do like to run on that or lean on that run game. Run DVOA, Chicago number 4, Green Bay 14. Again, slight favor here for the offense. I'd expect that to be the better of the two matchups, running the ball. And that seems to be what Coach Johnson there likes to do. Ben Johnson leaning heavily on that run game so far this season. Green Bay offense does look like it should be very effective. Number 5 in pass protection. Chicago's defense red across the board. Green Bay's offense green across the board. So 5 in pass protection. Chicago 24th in pass rush. Should have plenty of time to throw the ball. Green Bay actually number 1 in pass DVOA. Chicago 23rd in pass DVOA. Time to throw. Very explosive plays. I do like the prospects of somebody that is explosive on the Green Bay team to do well there. That is Christian Watson, so I would watch out for him. Probably a good DFS play in this. Watch out, too, for Jaden Reed. I haven't seen whether or not he's going to play this week, but his practice window has been open. There is a potential that he plays, and it might be more of a game-time decision than anything else. Run game should be very effective for Green Bay. Number 10 and number 10. Chicago 27th in stopping the run, 29th in run DVOA. So I'd expect a healthy dose of Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson to kind of control this game as well. Green Bay probably putting up quite a few points here. I think that 25.5 seems a little low unless there's some weather involved. Then Chicago, whether or not they can move the ball remains to be seen, but it is a neutral at best kind of matchup for them in Chicago. So we'll see what happens here. I think the Green Bay 6.5 point line is pretty good, and that 25.5 points maybe a little low for what they can get. So maybe the over in this, but not by much. All right, number 6 game total on the main slate is at 43.5. Two struggling teams here who are expected to do pretty well coming into the season. Washington heading into Minnesota. The Vegas line now has Washington as 1.5 point road favorites. Prior to the announcement that Jaden Daniels would be starting, Minnesota was 1.5 point favorites at home. That has now swung 3 points into the favor of Washington. So just heads up on all of the betting action going on there. With that, the team implied totals for Washington now 22.5. That's 10th best on the main slate. Minnesota at 21 is the 13th best on the main slate. Washington pass protection 20th. Minnesota very good in the pass rush, number 4, generating a lot of sacks. I'd expect Washington to be under a little bit of duress here. They have a unique defense there in Minnesota that applies a lot of pressure, blitzes a lot. Could force Jaden Daniels out of the pocket more. I don't know if he necessarily wants to run or if he's going to have some sort of instructions to not run as much after that gruesome elbow injury that we saw in primetime a few weeks ago, but he is back and could be flushed out of the pocket or taking quite a few sacks in this matchup. Pass DVOA pretty even up here. Usually we say studs eat in those scenarios. Could be a Terry McLaurin week where, hey, they're getting the ball out quickly, but Terry McLaurin probably getting hyper-focused here in this matchup. Maybe a few more targets there to Zach Ertz or some underneath targets in this matchup too to kind of help alleviate some pressure from the blitzing defense here from Minnesota. Then the run game, Washington 18 and 18 in their respective categories. Minnesota number 9 and number 11. I'd expect that run game to struggle a little bit in this. It does help having Jaden Daniels back, but I think Minnesota can handle that. It is slightly in the favor of there. We've seen Chris Rodriguez kind of take over that backfield now, so he is the main back, at least this week. This does not look particularly great for Washington. Under pressure, at best, it's the pass DVOA matchup here, which isn't looking good. And then the Minnesota side, they're 31st in offensive pass protection. Washington 12th in the pass rush. I'd expect Minnesota to be under a little bit of duress here. Could force J.J. McCarthy into some bad throws or flush him out of the pocket where he runs a little bit more. And then the pass DVOA. Washington number 28, Minnesota 30. This is one of the best matchups Minnesota's probably seen this season. Perhaps J.J. McCarthy looks a little bit better in this matchup against this Washington defense. We'll need to watch out for taking some sacks and stuff in here, but wouldn't be shocked to see Minnesota pop off some explosive pass plays here against this Washington defense. And then the run game, Minnesota number 7, Washington number 23 in that run blocking category. This tells me Minnesota should be gaining positive yardage each and every run for the most part. I think Jordan Mason's probably going to get heavily leaned on. I know Aaron Jones left last week with the shoulder injury. Not sure how that's going, but Jordan Mason would be a big beneficiary of moving the ball forward here. And then run DVOA, Minnesota, slight favor there, 16 versus Washington, 21. Again, I think Minnesota probably moves the ball a little bit better than they have so far this season. Washington maybe struggles a little bit here. This 43.5 Vegas game total. We'll see what happens here. And the Minnesota versus Washington line, I'm just going to go ahead, kind of based off of what I see here, I think Minnesota can actually move the ball here and control this game against Washington. And I think they end up taking this game and upsetting the Vegas line here of 1.5, favoring Washington. But it should be close game, probably a lot of ugly football, to be honest. But Minnesota may be looking a little bit better on offense than they have so far this season. All right, and then we got a game at number 7, which is Pittsburgh heading into Baltimore. So AFC Central matchup here. It's a 43-point Vegas game total. Baltimore favored by 6 points at home. Gives them a 24.5 team implied total, which is actually the 6th best on the main slate. Pittsburgh at 18.5 is 19th out of the 22 teams. Pass protection-wise, Pittsburgh number 10 in pass protection, so not taking a lot of sacks. Baltimore 29th in the defensive pass rush. I'd expect Pittsburgh to actually have some time here against this Baltimore defense to throw the ball, which is good. I wouldn't expect them to be taking a lot of sacks. And then pass DVOA, Pittsburgh number 25, Baltimore 24. I know they had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the season, which is probably skewing this number, but still looks like a decent matchup here for Pittsburgh to be able to pass the ball. Who are they going to throw it to? I don't know. They did have some injuries. DK Metcalf last week. Really thin there at wide receiver. I think they did pick up Adam Thielen to come there and help out with that wide receiver room. So really strapped for talent there in that room. The better option probably for Pittsburgh. 15th in run blocking, Baltimore 17th in stopping the run, and then run DVOA, Pittsburgh number 11, Baltimore number 12. Baltimore, I think, getting a lot better here with all of their healthy people, but these are evenly matched things. Pittsburgh's been pretty good at running the ball. I think they'll be pretty solid here. Pass game maybe a little better than they have been. Despite the lack of talent there. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Pittsburgh can actually put up some points here against Baltimore in Baltimore. It does look like an interesting one there. Baltimore side, 27th in pass protection. Pittsburgh 17th in the pass rush. Kind of middle of the pack there. Baltimore may take some sacks. They've been doing that regardless of whether or not Lamar Jackson has been in there. So could see some more of that action this week. Pass DVOA, Baltimore 22nd, Pittsburgh 13. Wouldn't expect Baltimore's pass offense to be very explosive in this either, needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Usually in these games, it looks like, Zay Flowers and the tight ends, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews get a little bit more involved in that for volume. On the run blocking side, Baltimore 19, Pittsburgh 21. Pretty evenly matched there. Run DVOA, Baltimore 9, Pittsburgh 15. Slight favor for Baltimore's offense there. I think Baltimore probably leans on the run here against Pittsburgh. It looks like the best of their two matchups. Pittsburgh pretty even overall. Looks like they could put up some points. I think Pittsburgh actually covers the 6-point Vegas line against Baltimore. I think this is going to be closer than what Vegas is saying, especially interdivisional matchup here. But we'll see what happens. I'm probably avoiding this for the most part in DFS. I just don't like most of these matchups. Next game here, tied for 8th on the main slate at 41.5 is Miami and New York Jets. We do have Miami 3-point road favorite, so that gives them a 22.25 team implied total, good for 12th best on the main slate. The Giants at 19.25 is good for 15th best on the main slate. Miami offensive side, 16 in pass protection, middle of the pack. Jets at 22 in the pass rush. Slight favor there for Miami. Maybe a little bit more time than they're used to throw the ball. Then that pass DVOA, Miami number 24, the Jets 32nd. So Miami's not been very explosive, but they are playing a defense that's really poor against the pass. So I expect with some additional time to throw compared to what they're used to in this pass DVOA metric, we could see Tua actually have a pretty solid game here. Again, weather permitting, I don't know what it's going to be like outside in New York, but could be a decent game there in the pass game. Then the run game, run blocking, Miami number 25, Jets 15. That is in the favor of the Jets. I'd expect maybe some at or behind the line of scrimmage tackles there for Devon Achane this week. Then run DVOA, Miami number 12, Jets 16. Pretty even there, slight favor of the offense. Studs eat in those scenarios, and Achane is certainly a stud, so probably a volatile game for him. Expect him to be bottled up on plenty of runs, but then ripping off a few longer runs, especially with this Miami pass game. Could be mixing it up a little bit and look a little bit better on offense than they have season long so far. The Jet side could get interesting. They're 32nd in offensive pass protection, but Miami 27th in that pass rush. I'd expect Tyrod Taylor to have an additional, few split seconds to get those passes out this week. Miami 30th in pass DVOA, Jets 27th. Very close there, but really Jets should be able to pass the ball a lot better this week against Miami than they have so far this season. Good for their pass catchers there. They did get John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell in recent trades, so I think those two are in line for some decent pass volume in this matchup and should be able to perform pretty well. Then the run blocking side, Jets number 24 in run blocking, Miami number 11 in stopping the run. Breece Hall looking like play-by-play is going to get frustrated with a lot of people in his face before he gets to the line of scrimmage. And then run DVOA, Miami number 8, Jets number 19. Breece Hall not looking very good here. Jets actually probably going to lean on that pass game in this, so Tyrod Taylor might be very interesting in fantasy, along with his couple pass catchers that he has. Could even get a little unique with a tight end, Mason Taylor. But yeah, pass games for Miami and the Jets do look like they're going to be a little bit above average here. Run game for Miami should be able to overcome that matchup, but it's not great. Jets, I don't think they're going to overcome that as easily. So Breece Hall kind of off my list for DFS, but this pass game for both teams should get a little interesting. I think they can both best that 41.5 Vegas game total, weather permitting. All right, that other game tied for number 8 on the main slate at 41.5 is New Orleans heading into Tampa Bay. It's an 8.5 point home favorite here for Tampa Bay. That gives them a 25-point team implied total, 5th best on the main slate. New Orleans, though, at 16.5 is 20th out of the 22 teams, so we still have 2 teams worse than the 16.5, which is almost shocking to think about. New Orleans side, number 19 in pass protection, Tampa Bay 14. Pretty even there. Standard day at the office for Shuck to be able to throw the ball. Pass DVOA wise, New Orleans 28th, Tampa Bay 16th. Pretty heavily in the favor of Tampa Bay there, but Tampa Bay is more of a pass funnel defense because their run defense is so good. So that's really the matchup you're going to look at for the Saints. Are they going to be very effective? Does not look that way. Probably shouldn't expect a ton of explosive plays here from the Saints, but they will have, standard day to throw, the rock around this game. They do play fast, number 1 in offensive neutral situations, so you could see quite a few plays and quite a few pass attempts here from Tyler Shuck. Run game is about as bad as you can expect. 28 and 31 for the Saints, number 3, number 6 for Tampa Bay. Would not expect Devin Neal to have a very good run game in this matchup. Just avoid that altogether. It's going to be a disaster there for the Saints. And why they're probably at 16.5 because this pass option doesn't look good either. Tampa Bay side, number 10 in pass protection. They've been very good, but the Saints, number 5, adjusted sack rate there. Been able to get after the quarterback, generate some sacks. Pass DVOA, though, Saints, number 22, Tampa Bay 18. Pretty even matchup there. They might need to get the ball out a little bit quicker than they're used to, but they should be able to move the ball despite that. Run blocking wise, kind of flip-flopped here. New Orleans 24th in stopping the run, Tampa Bay 13th in run blocking, so they should get positive yardage on most of their attempts. But then the run DVOA, Saints number 13, Tampa Bay 25. Not a lot of explosion coming from Tampa Bay. We have seen Bucky Irving injured, so that's part of it. But Saints number 13 in that run DVOA, pretty decent there, a little bit above average. I don't think Tampa Bay, despite getting positive yardage, I wouldn't expect a ton of explosive plays here. It does look like Tampa Bay is just going to have to grind out their drives based off of what I see in the offenses here. And then New Orleans probably struggling to put up points. So Tampa Bay should take this, and they may struggle a little bit to put up some points. The kicker could have a good game in this, though. All right, next game here is the 10th best on the main slate. Denver taking on Las Vegas. It's 40.5 Vegas game total. Denver favored by 7.5 points on the road. Gives them a 24-point team implied total, 7th best on the main slate. Vegas 16.5 tied for 20th there. We did see with New Orleans, so not very high point totals there. Denver side, they're first in pass protection, not taking a lot of sacks. Vegas 24th in the defensive pass rush, so not generating a lot of sacks. So don't expect Vegas to be putting up any defensive points here because most of those come from sacks, and that doesn't look likely. Pass DVOA pretty even. Denver number 17, Vegas number 18. Standard day. We usually stay studs eat in those scenarios. Denver, I don't think, has any of those, but with time to throw and stuff like that, could be a Troy Franklin type matchup. Be interesting to see him and Pat Bryant, the rookie, and how they're doing in this matchup, because those kind of have gone back and forth recently in terms of who's the number 1 target there. And Sutton's kind of just always hanging around doing his thing. Run blocking wise, Denver number 11, so pretty good in that aspect. Vegas, though, number 12 in stopping the run. Pretty even there. can say studs eat in those scenarios, but RJ Harvey doesn't seem to be that way. He's been really struggling so far with his yards per carry. So run DVOA for Denver 23rd, Vegas 19. Really evenly matched here. Again, studs eat. In a scenario like this, if we see RJ Harvey do very well, we could say he's probably pretty talented at football. If he struggles in this, maybe that's the nail in the coffin, so to speak, for him being a elite talent at the NFL level. But yeah, looking very even with the pass in the run game here, just with time to throw here for Denver. So nothing too crazy there on offense. And then Vegas, really poor on offense, 29-29, 32-32. One of the worst offenses in the NFL and probably one of the worst offenses in recent history. Denver, unfortunately for them, is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Number 1, number 4, number 4, and number 3 across the board. So all really, bottom 3, bottom 4 for Vegas on offense. Denver top 4 on defense. Gonna really spell trouble for Vegas here. I don't think Vegas can even get 16.5 points based off of a matchup like this. All hands off, I guess, for that Vegas team. Plus, they play slow. I'm fine betting the under here for Vegas on the 16.5. I think that's a little rich for what we've seen from this offense and this defense. All right, and the ugliest game, perhaps the ugliest one of the season, Tennessee heading into Cleveland. Vegas game total all the way down at 33.5, probably one of the lowest we've seen in the last 5 years. We do have Cleveland as 4-point home favorites on that total, which only gets them to 18.75. That is 18th best on the main slate. Tennessee, the dead last, 22nd, giving them a 14.75 team implied total, which is probably rich considering the offense all red here, just similar to what we saw with Vegas and Denver's defense. Cleveland has a very, very good defense as well. Tennessee's offense has just been putrid this season. So on the pass game, 29th and 31st for Tennessee, Cleveland number 2 and number 5. And then in the run game, Tennessee 27 and 29, Cleveland number 1 and number 2. So, better of the two matchups is probably the pass game, which is unfortunate for Tennessee because it's been really bad. 14.75 points seems a little rich for what I see here. Against this Cleveland defense, I would be more inclined to say in between 6 to 10 points is probably likely. Bet the under on that Tennessee side. And then Cleveland side, they're 24th in pass protection. Tennessee number 5 in the pass rush. They should be able to generate a few sacks here against Shedeur Sanders, but he does seemingly get out of the pocket and see things pretty well. Pass DVOA wise, Tennessee number 26, Cleveland 32nd. I would expect, despite getting flushed out of the pocket, probably going to see some explosive plays here against this Tennessee defense for Cleveland. And then the run game, Cleveland 31st and 27th been pretty bad, but Tennessee 20th in stopping the run, 27th in run DVOA. Kind of even matchups here. But it does look like Cleveland does have the better, offensive matchups compared to Tennessee. Here, pass game could see some explosion. Run game could see some explosion with Tennessee's defense being so bad. Cleveland does probably take this game, but I do agree, really, really poor offensive environment. 33.5 Vegas game total might actually be a little high for what I see here. All right, that does it for the main slate. Now we're looking at the 2 island game matchups. So Sunday Night Football, we have a really good AFC matchup here. Houston heading into Kansas City. Some playoff implications here. Kansas City favored by 3.5 at home. Gives them a 22.5 team implied total on the Vegas game total of 41.5. Houston at 19 for their team implied total. Usually when I see team implied totals, Vegas game totals down in the low 40s, start looking at kickers and defenses in my main slate, my island game matchups. So watch out for that as we go through this. Houston pass protection number 10, Kansas City 21st in pass rush. I'd expect Houston to have some time to throw the ball, not taking a lot of sacks in this. Houston side for pass DVOA 15, Kansas City 20. Slight favor there for Houston. I think this is a Nico Collins game. With some time to throw, we could actually see CJ Stroud have a pretty solid game here. Time to throw, slight favor in the pass DVOA. Kansas City's been giving it up there. They're below average. Run game, Houston 23rd and 28 in the red. Kansas City 18 and 10 in their run DVOA. So maybe, gaining some positive yardage there for Houston, but no explosive run plays. I think Houston, if they're going to be moving the ball, it's going to be via the air. So watch out for Stroud there. Kansas City side, 13 in pass protection, but Houston number 7 in the pass rush. Patrick Mahomes probably going to be under a little bit of pressure in there, needing to get the ball out quicker. You're going to probably see some Rashee Rice action and some Travis Kelce action in there, needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Pass DVOA, Houston number 1, Kansas City number 6. Pretty evenly matched there. Studs eat, probably more of a Rashee Rice game. Travis Kelce, is he still a stud at this stage in his career? Probably not, but still decent enough that I think those two are going to be leaned on in the pass game here. Run game, Houston number 10 and number 5, Kansas City number 9 and number 8. Pretty evenly matched here. Studs eat. I don't think Kansas City has that, but will be interesting to see here. So I think Kansas City looks like they may struggle, or it's even at best for their matchup on offense against this Houston defense. And then Houston offense could be somewhat decent passing the ball. The run game does look like it's going to struggle. So kicker could get involved here if we're doing island game stuff. I do like Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, and Houston kicker. And then Kansas City side, Rice and Kelce, I think, are going to be your main benefactors. If you want to start somebody like a Pacheco and hope he falls into the end zone if he's cheap, be my guest. But I think this game, the 3.5 Vegas line, seems a little strong here. I think I'm going to go ahead and hit the upside. I think Houston actually goes into Kansas City and can take this from them and basically knock Kansas City out of playoff contention here and put themselves into decent playoff, watch territory here for the last few weeks of the NFL season. All right, and final game here, folks. We have Monday Night Football. Philadelphia heading into Los Angeles to face the Chargers. It's a 41 Vegas game total. Again, on totals nearing the 30s or in the low 40s, I do start looking at kickers and defenses in my optimal lineups for the island game matchups. Again, 2.5-point favorites here for Philadelphia heading into Los Angeles. That gives them a 21.75 team implied total. Chargers at 19.25 for their team implied total. Pretty even there. But Philly, 16th in offensive pass protection. Chargers, number 10 in the pass rush. Probably be under a little bit of duress here for Jalen Hurts, needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Pass DVOA, Philly, number 10. Chargers, number 8. Does look like that pass game. Studs eat, more of a scenario there. Fortunately for them, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, both very good wide receivers. So on paper, could struggle a little bit, but they have the talent, I think, to overcome that on the wide receiver side. Philly's run blocking, number 30. Run DVOA, number 24. So really bad on offense this year for the run game. Chargers, though, 22nd in stopping the run, 25th in run DVOA. More of a studs eat scenario. We could see actually Saquon Barkley with a really good game here against the Chargers, especially if that pass game isn't doing as well as they had hoped. They could lean pretty heavily on Barkley here and could see a solid game. He's been struggling this season so far, so he might be pretty low rostered as well when we get to those island game matchups. Chargers side, 25th in pass protection. Philly, number 17 in the pass rush. A slight favor here for Philly, but nothing too crazy for the Chargers. They're kind of used to being under pressure. Pass DVOA, Philly number 6, Chargers number 13. Again, behind the ball here for the Chargers pass game. Watch out for that. Herbert playing with a broken hand if he does play in this game this Monday. We'll see about that, but not a great matchup for the Chargers pass game. Then the run game, Philly number 30 in stopping the run. Chargers 26th in run blocking, so slight favor there for the Chargers, but really even up. Studs eat scenario. We'll see if the rookie O'Marion Hampton comes back here. And then run DVOA is dead even, 22 versus 22. So really, both pass games probably the weaker of the two, and then we have run games which haven't been great on offense, but probably a little better here. So I'll be looking at both running backs, depending on who's in or who's out for injuries on the Chargers side. And then maybe getting these kickers involved where, hey, yeah, they're getting into position. They're not scoring touchdowns, though, and they're kicking a lot of field goals. And you could get both of those kickers involved in that scenario. I'd be a little bit more interested in Cameron Dicker from the Chargers than Philly's kicker in this matchup, but watch out for that. And that's going to do it for the Week 14 episode of the Adjusted Line Play Report, folks. Thanks for making it all this way if you did. We're going to go out there. We're going to set up some really good lineups based off of this info, hopefully. And we'll go out and win some money together. Thanks for watching. Peace.